Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Mike Luke, joined by the great Jason Scheer. Jason Scheer at practice. Arizona football is here. Jason Scheer, we are very, very excited about all of this. Now, I was obviously not there today. I am heading back tomorrow. But, Scheer, what were your some of initial thoughts? Boots on the ground, Jason Scheer.
By the way, first off, Mike, you're not here, so you don't realize. A shout out to Brent Brennan's morning practice time because the monsoon's actually going to hit right now. So if I freeze or my power goes out, I'm looking at it right now. It ain't good outside.
That's not good. We do not have monsoons here at the in Lake Tahoe. It does not happen here. It does not exist.
I think the one thing that really stood out to practice is how Brennan just jumps right in it. There's a lot of 11-on-11 and 7-on-7 stuff without pads, and you don't see that the first day. The first day, a lot of it is like shells and learning drills and fundamentals. This is a very competitive environment under Brent Brennan.
Yes, and you know what's so great about it, too, and I had somebody message me this from practice. He said, Brent Brennan, I think a lot of people know. I think a lot of people, know this, obviously, but there's always a question. What is, does he understand what he, that he's got to win now? Does he understand the roster? And there seemed to at least be, from what I was told, and, obviously you were there, there seemed to have been a semblance of, hey, man, it's time to get going here. We got to win.
Yeah, they know. He knows. The assistants know. Duane Akina definitely knows. I love Akina. He was ripping into players today in a good way, but it was just fun to watch the first day. The intensity for a first day practice was very, very good.
Yes, exactly. Now, there are some issues with certain players on the team. We'll address this one time, and then we're not going to have to address this again. We've been telling you that Raymond Polito is not going to play this year. Listen, you wish the kid the best. I don't know that and honestly, I'm going to push back a little bit here what Joseph said, and I love Joseph, but honestly, the fans kind of got on his dad's case a lot harder than deserved. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that because the dad was going crazy on Twitter. He was very upset that Noah and T-Mac and all of them were having basically an announcement that we're all coming back, and he kept saying, well, what about the players that aren't there? Well, dude, it's your choice to be up in Washington during that, not those guys' choices. Like, that to me was always, and he just kept going on it. It was weird.
I always try to
I get it. I get it.
I want to say this. Raymond Polito is not to blame. The player is not to blame for any of this. I feel awful for the kid. I think Arizona fans should take note. Do not say anything negative to the kid. Do not pressure him. This is not his deal. I tweeted, and I might as well. I'll read my tweet, and you could take from it what you will. And I think this says it plenty. I appreciate all the parents. And look, we've done this. We've talked to other parents. We appreciate the parents that are very down to earth and realistic about their kids.
Yes.
And there's some that are the complete opposite. And the problem is when you're the complete opposite, you put a lot of undue pressure on the kid. And some kids can handle that. Some kids can't. And that pressure grows and grows and things happen. And eventually, sometimes that pressure becomes too much to handle. And again, I don't want to get into too many details or crap on anyone, but I think you can kind of figure out what I'm saying.
And the other thing, too, that I never really understood about this, and again, we're going to address this once and then move on. The other thing, too, that I never understood about any of this was why did he keep tweeting at coaches asking him if they were going to run the RPO? He did that.
Coaches, Mike, it was us. It was like his coaches envied him. Like, well, are they going to run RPO? It's like, first of all, I don't know. Second of all, no. Third of all, call your position coach.
Yes, it was it felt very much of a way of taking a little bit of a dig. And so either way, wish the kid nothing but the best because by all accounts, he's a very good kid. And, it's just unfortunate.
I hope it's at Arizona. If it's not, so be it. I just hope Raymond Polito plays football again. I genuinely don't care where it is. I hope he finds the love and all that for football and he plays football again. And if he wants to. If he finds love for football and wants to play football again, I hope he does.
All right, now let's talk about special teams. And very rarely do you say, let's talk about special teams, but we've got some answers here. I'm very, very excited about this. Okay, now we have a punter, Jason Scheer. What do we need to know about Mr. Lackland?
Well, Well, shout out to us because I think we reported this last week. Yeah, so it was made official today. We didn't get to see punting, but you don't bring on a punter on July 28th or whatever it is they brought him in to be the third punter. I would expect he wins the job. He was on Oregon, didn't punt at Oregon, went to the City College of San Francisco, was an All-American there. I would expect that he is a punter. What's cool is also he's a big dude. We saw him walking by. He's 6'2", 220.
Right.
And he's Australian. Everyone should have an Australian punter or something similar. I would expect him to win the job. And when we talk about position battles, we said it before, punter was a major question. And I would be surprised if this kid, he would have to be very disappointing to not be the starter game one.
Yes. Now let's talk a little bit. We've obviously got Tyler Loop, who you are still on the outside with Steve Loop. Steve Loop.
That's my guy. Steve's my guy.
Steve Loop very upset with Jason Scheer. Steve Loop, I voted for Tyler Loop, first team all Big 12. Jason Scheer did not, just for what it's worth. Steve Loop. Also, Steve Loop likes Whataburger, which is awesome. But with we have no problem. With Tyler Loop, I feel incredibly comfortable with it. Also, the other thing with Tyler Loop that I don't know that we necessarily gave enough credit for is there was kind of this, I think, this misnomer that. There was this kind of misnomer that, man, well, he's good for extra points and he can kick the ball from 30 yards in. He's got a leg. He's got some accuracy. I feel very good about the kicking situation now.
Yeah, I'm cool with Tyler Loop. I'm very curious to see how, and Tyler Loop's going to be the kicker, obviously, but I'm very curious to see how Michael Salgado looks. I'm very curious, the freshman. And again, he's not going to start over Loop, but I would feel a lot better if it's like, okay, Loop is done this season. Man, this kid's going to step in next season and be the starter for 3 years. And he punted a little in high school. Did they try him out there? Again, we didn't get to look at special teams today. I'll try to take a closer look tomorrow.
Yes. Okay. Now we also need to talk about our guy, Fam Rayshon Speedy Luke. When it comes to kick returns, and again, we don't know yet, but he would appear to me to be one that the coaching staff would certainly look at. We've got the kicking problems. I think pretty much the elixir is in, but we also need to be able to get people that return kicks. What say you, Jason Scheer?
Yeah, I mean, again, we did. I'll look at special teams more tomorrow, but he'll be in the mix. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't be. I don't know if he'll win the job. There's a few guys out there that the focus wasn't really there today on the first day, but yeah, I mean, he'll from what I understand, talking to coaches, in other words, he's going to be in the mix for sure.
All right, so we feel pretty good about the special teams. I think it's fair to say, Jason Scheer.
Yeah, I'm cool with the special teams. By the way, you want to know who your special team stud is going to be?
Who?
On all four special teams, Mike?
Who?
People are going to love this. Justin Flo is playing all four special teams. Gonzalez mentioned him yesterday and said, look, I know you're all excited about a linebacker. We're going to figure things out there. He is a stud on special teams.
Well, I so badly want him to be good. I mean, and everybody really should. Oh, the great Eric L. Day has just joined the chat. Hello, Eric L. Day. But I really want him to be good.
He did. Now, he had a sack today. He was running with the, I guess you caught the 2/3s. They tried a lot of combos, but he had a sack. He did, and he was calling out coverages and stuff. He looked. There were a handful of guys, Mike, that I think looked more confident and comfortable than last year. Where I'm looking at them even after the first day of practice, going, okay, this looks a little different than it did last year.
Yeah, all right. Now, let's talk about Traden Stukes then. Now, again, I unfortunately am not on the ground, boots on the ground. Jason Scheer has 4 boots on the ground, though. That's what he does. Traden Stukes. Duane Akina has mentioned many, many times that he believes that he's the best nickelback in the country. Do you see him being moved to boundary corner?
So he was out today. And again, no big deal. We'll just get this out of the way. Wendell Moy, Takario Davis, and Traden Stukes were out today. T-Mac was too. No serious injuries, no boots whatsoever. I mean, shoot, they could be back tomorrow, but they're not going to take a risk with any of those guys, but not major. Yeah, I think there's a very real chance. There's just one little issue that could get in the way of that, Mike.
What is that issue?
It only took one day for us to see that Marquise Groves-Killebrew is going to win that job. I know that Akina said yesterday, Stukes could play.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second here.
No.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
I know what you're going to say.
I have a pretty good source on this one.
Okay.
Who told me about 2.5, 3 weeks ago that Marquise Groves-Killebrew was going to be one of the starting cornerbacks. So when you told me that yesterday, Scheer, I thought,
your
liar,
source
liar.
was the same guy that told me this yesterday. Okay, Duane Akina told everyone yesterday that you hear that thunder? Duane Akina told everyone yesterday that there's a very real chance Stoops could play corner. Like he made it out to play corner, and I had to go out of my way to ask about Gross Killebrew. Now, Takario Davis was out today, and Emmanuel Carnley and Killebrew were the first team corners for the most part. Carnley actually wasn't bad. Killebrew was good, and he looks different. And I think Lev tweeted it too. Like there are a handful of guys that just look different. Gross Killebrew in the defensive backfield. That was the guy that looked different. He's got it, right? Like if he's healthy and all that, I don't, and again, like it wasn't full pads and all that. Maybe that looks different, but in the 7-on-7, 11-on-11 stuff, he looked like a starting cornerback.
I'll even go a step further. You want to know what else this other person told me before your Pinocchio nose? We do not like the Pinocchio nose from Jason Scheer. He also said this guy's got a legitimate chance to play on Sundays. He said he's good, he's different. I'm excited to work with him. We're excited to work with him. It's going to be fun to watch this one. So let me rephrase then, Jason Scheer. Let me rephrase then. Let's say Marquise Groves Killebrew becomes somebody where you're like, okay, there's a chance he's a 4th round pick, something like that. Then could we be talking about a top 5 secondary in the country, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, if he's an NFL guy, yeah, of course. That was the question that we talked to. Like, I just don't know. But yeah, I mean, the secondary looked great today, even without Takario. Genesis had a great pick on Fifita. Who I loved today was Owen Goss.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a big dude. I mean, he's jacked, but not tall. But
he's like me.
Yeah, he looks like you. Gets there. Like he just gets there. I liked him. He stood out in the secondary. Genesis had the pick. Carnley looked a little better. They looked fine today.
I've had a couple people ask about Teron Williams, freshman. He is not. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but he is not with the team. But there's an excellent chance he will be back next year, dealing with some stuff. I'm not getting into it, but yes.
Yeah, I don't know the situation, but the insinuation I got was that they're not.
The door has not been closed at all.
Yeah, they're not getting rid of him. There's just some things.
Okay, now, we also need to talk about, Lost Highway. In other words, enjoy smelly Seattle, Price Lock. Yes. All right, now, I need to make a case here for something that I don't understand, and
I asked about this. I asked about it. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Well, this is going to be a clip that we're going to make here, so we will talk about this. Okay. I do not understand this. If you have 4 really good offensive linemen, and they're good, Josh Baker, good. Our guy Leif, good. Obviously, Jonas Savanea, 1st-round pick. Wendell Moy. If you don't have a left tackle, why would you not put the one that is already played right tackle and is a projected 1st-round pick at left tackle, Jonas Savanea? That makes no sense to me. Elaborate, Jason Scheer.
I believe that is in play based on, I asked Brent Brennan how he decides who plays where in the line. For instance, I basically said, why not move Jonah to left tackle? And he said, he said he trusts Oglesby and what he believes. And if this is how Oglesby wants to start, so be it. But if it's not working, they can go back in a few days, have a meeting and say, let's do this. And he said, because let's be real, Jonah can play anywhere on the line and he's really good. I have a feeling that they're seeing what they have at left tackle. And if it isn't good enough, Jonah will be a left tackle.
I believe Jonah is going to be a left tackle then. I feel much more comfortable about possibly putting somebody at right tackle when I have somebody like Jonas Savanea. Listen, Scheer, you and I have been covering Arizona football. Well, I mean, you started about 5 years ago. I was in the 90s with Dick Tomei, as you call him. Yes, but joking aside, you don't see linemen that come through like Jonas Savanea. When we first laid eyes on him, we're like, all right, well, you're going to be here 3 years and you're going to be off to the NFL. He looks totally different. He looks like he should be at Georgia or Alabama. He doesn't look like an Arizona football player. If you have somebody like that, put him at the most important position, period.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, some of the positions today surprised me on the O-line. Jonah Rodriguez is the backup right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Wooten right now is the backup left tackle.
Right.
I noticed Wooten I don't know if he got more snaps than Rodriguez, but he was second. Rhino was right there as well. He was the starter because of who's out and all that.
We also need to, all right, I want to address a couple players that I would love to be wrong on. I would love to put a my bad movement out there, but talking with people, I just don't believe that they're good enough. Tylen Gonzalez, I understood taking the chance on him. The previous coaching staff generally did well with those guys. Not good enough. Elijah Payne, not good enough. That's just kind of what it comes down to. I would not expect them to really be contributors here at the U of A.
Yeah, I mean,
it is what it is.
Don't want you never know trajectory, all that, but those are probably transfer candidates after this season because there's so much movement on the offensive line, and Oglesby is clearly giving everyone a chance, but Tylen and Payne just aren't really there yet.
Yeah, they're just not there yet. Now let's talk about Rhino for a second here. Rhino to me is fascinating because again, one of the Bishop Alamany kids. When he came in, I remember that, he looked like somebody that could be a really nice interior lineman, never really progressed. This is kind of a make or break year for Rhino because he's got the potential, or he's going to have an opportunity, whether through injury. This is the opportunity. He's going to have some kind of opportunity if he wants, whether it's injury, whatever the case may be. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens there.
Yeah, I like Rhino. I mean, I don't know if he's ready yet, but the potential is clearly there. Like he looks like a starting lineman in the future. Left tackle's just so open. Like he looked fine today, and it's hard. Look, they don't have pads, and so Brent Brennan was asked by someone else how to evaluate the offensive line, and he was kind of like, "What am I evaluating?" Right? Like it's like so you can't really block him today, but. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like Ryan Stewart was at center today.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't expect that, but he looked pretty good. Like there are.
Would you move? Well, if that's the case, then would you move Josh Baker? Would you move Josh Baker? What would you do with Josh Baker then? Because Josh Baker.
No, Ryan Stewart was second team center.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. No, Baker's starting at center.
There will be no Josh Baker slander on this show.
Yeah.
Very much like
Josh Baker.
I
think Baker's underrated. I think I don't think he gets enough attention for being the anchor on that line. I just think that like if Jonah Rodriguez looks really good at right tackle, do they try him at left tackle? You know what I mean? Like. Do they put Jonah at left and try? I'll just say this. The starting lineup we saw today, I would be very surprised if that's the starting line for the first game.
And that's where I keep coming back to. We got 4 guys that we know are good, and that's at least a good position to be in. You just got to be able to find that 5th guy. Maybe it helps out a little bit with the tight ends, which leads me to my next point, Jason Scheer. There's a lot of tight ends on this roster. This coaching staff has said many times they want to. They're going to 2 tight end sets. A lot of tight ends. What did you see out there?
Miranda was limited today. Remember I said, I hope you remember, it was like a couple minutes ago that there's guys that clearly look like they were more confident. Burnett jumped off the page. He looks like he belongs for the first time. And maybe it's because he knows, and this is crappy to say, I don't want to knock Burnett, but a lot of times, like when you're a guy like Burnett and there's Tanner McLaughlin and you know that Jed Fish doesn't rotate, a part of you in the back of your mind is like, I'm not playing. It is different. He is playing under this team. He was out of bounds, but he had a crazy one-handed catch in the back of the end zone.
Right.
Where it was very close, just more confident. We asked Noah about him, and Noah said, look, like it's night and day confidence between last season and this season. He's going to play. He really impressed me today.
Well, that's good because you got to remember this is a kid that was also let's be honest here. I mean, this was the second highest rated Servite kid out of obviously there. So that's a good thing, Jason.
I also like Sam Olsen at tight end. He looked good today too. I think he's legit. The whole tight end room is good.
Oh. By the way, Kevin W.N., the great Kevin W.N., this is very, very funny. Josh Oglesby, Wisconsin's all-time highest ranked recruit on 24/7. This is true. I like that.
Dude, he's so big.
He's a massive individual.
Like, if you guys haven't seen him in person, I mean, massive.
Yes. No, I would agree with that. Oh, Erica all day taking shots at bald people. Well, you know what?
Erica. That's why I grew my hair out. Look at me.
I know. Well, I'll just put it to you like this. It's a good thing that there's nobody that's bald on the offensive line, like our good friend Leif, like our good friend Josh Baker, like our good friend Jonas Savanea, et cetera, et cetera.
Long, flowing locks.
Yes, exactly. All right, now, Duane Akina, let's talk. Oh, Tony Jones is in here, the great Tony Jones. We get very excited when Tony Jones enters the chat. Hello, Tony Jones. Okay, now let's talk about the defense a little bit here. Duane Akina, the old white guy, was he ready to rock and roll?
Dude, he was.
I'll never let that go.
He was feisty today. He was awesome. He was fun to watch. There was like a drill again, I don't want to point out, but whatever, because it was funny.
Do it.
Jono Price had like 2 refs in a row that just weren't good.
Right.
Duane Akina, in a Duane Akina way, just tore him up. Just
Right.
tore him up. And when I say Duane Akina way, like he's not saying like you're a piece of crap and all that. He's just like telling him what he has to do. But man, he's intense. He was running up and down the field. I love it. I love watching him.
Yeah, Duane Akina is absolutely the man. Duane Akina is great. We like Duane Akina a lot. Now, let's see. I'm waiting for Akina to make a tackle. LJ Woombology. Yeah, well,
It could happen.
It could definitely happen. I will say that. Now, I was talking with somebody that works with the defense, and I asked him one time. I was like, like what kind of defense are you? And I thought he had a really, really good answer for the defense. He says, he said, I got more than enough. I thought that was an interesting way of putting it, that this should be a good unit. And honestly, maybe we haven't been looking at this in the right way, because we're always concerned about, who's that other linebacker, who's that other. You've got players that we know for a fact are good. And I mean, just look in the secondary for a second. We won't even put in MKG at the moment. We know all 3 of the safeties are good. We know Tacario's good. We know Manu's good. We know Ty's good. We know Trey Smith's good. I mean, there's a lot of dudes that are good. And maybe we aren't looking at this in quite the right way, because it was very straightforward. Got more than enough.
Yeah, I think they're going to get a little bit creative. Now, I will say the one thing that stood out on a negative side with the defense, it feels a little small in the middle. Chuba, huge. Isaiah Johnson, huge. Behind that, like, I like Darton. I realize he's good, and it's a different kind of defensive guy, but I think people will need to get used to it, that like last season under Nansen, it was, we're going to find the biggest dudes ever and they're going to hold the line. This year, it's a little more, they're going to get the quarterback. And so it's a little smaller. But I think there's ways to make up with that, right? Like, let's say you drop a guy like when Genesis Smith made his interception today, he was in the box.
Right.
Like,
I think we're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah. Like, there's ways to get creative where it's like, look, we may not be big, but you're not passing on us. Like, You're just not like, we're going to cover the entire field. I think you're going to see a little bit more of that this season.
Now, how'd Bear Anderson look?
He's small. I mean, he looked good. The starting defensive tackles, Darton was limited today, but the starting tackles were Chuba and Isaiah Johnson. I think Darton is starting, and we said that before, but Isaiah Johnson looks good, and it's bigger. There's just different styles that they could go with.
Let me ask you this, Scheer. You just said a little bit undersized. Are you maybe having a little bit of regret for BBN moving on?
Yes and no. Is BBN, he's big, obviously. But it's a different style. Like I said, like BBN didn't really get off after the quarterback either, right? Like, right. It's just like Darton is really quick. You could tell. Like Barry Anderson is quick, but they're 260 pounds, right? They're not like Pia Savea where they're not quick, but they take up a lot of room. So it really depends on what you want.
Joseph, the great Joseph, says, per Lev, H.A. Jones had himself a day. Is this... I
thought it was a really good day for the receivers, for the most part.
Love that. Tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, A.J. had a few nice plays. Devin Hyatt had a nice plays. Malik O'Reilly played well. There were a couple surprises. Maybe I should have known this. Ray Mello is on the outside, which is interesting. I thought he would be a slot guy. He was the second receiver on the outside. Maybe that could also be because T-Mac was out, but Ray Mello was all outside today.
Wait a second. Jason Scheer right now is saying that T-Mac is in a fight for his starting spot with Ray Mello Murphy. You just said this.
Yeah. Ray Mello looks like he looks like you. He looks like you. Another guy. Built.
Another guy.
Jeremiah Patterson is 5'7", but fast. Really fast. Like, he was absolutely a part of the offense today as a slot guy. He looks like every good slot guy ever. The receivers, they're pretty good.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with the receivers. Honestly, outside of depth on the offensive line, I have absolutely no concerns about the offense. I really don't. If the offense stinks, because again, go ahead, Scheer. I see Scheer saying something.
No, I didn't want to forget someone on offense. So I don't. But remember how we said guys look different? Ja'Cory looks different.
Yeah. Ja'Cory looks different than every other back on the roster.
Just built, like ripped, fast. strong, just
Yeah.
different.
You know what Ja'Cory looks like? Ja'Cory looks like an NFL back. Now, is it going to translate? We got to see it. But Ja'Cory, remember what I told you this summer that when Ja'Cory came, and when Arizona's able to get him in, the guy's like, yeah, that guy could be a 4th-round pick. He could be that dude.
And it's not like Speedy looked good, Quality looked good, but Ja'Cory, I'm talking about like just the way he plays and carries himself, just looks different.
Yes, absolutely.
He looks like someone Erica L. Day could marry,
Ooh, Erica L. Day. I think Erica L. Day's more into the maybe the more
offensive lineman,
the bigger folks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes. Let's talk about Sanderson Ford for a minute, my good friend Jason Scheer. Here's the deal with Sanderson Ford. You might say, Mike, Sanderson Ford, they're really important. Why are they with you? Well, guess what? I don't know. Maybe they don't know that I'm here. But either way, Sanderson Ford is fantastic. Here's the deal. Get 0% for 36 months OAC from Ford Credit. See dealer for details. All right, all kinds of really good stuff here. There is a restaurant on site called the Starline Diner as well. Very, very nice. Okay, so here's the deal. All kinds of really, really good stuff. The PHNX is proud to have Sanderson Ford as our official vehicle partner. Feel free to. All right, and then let's see here. Anderson Ford is family owned and operated through 3 generations. They thrive on a no hassle, no pressure, and no nonsense sales approach, just like Jason Scheer. Again, plus the 0% financing for 36 months with no payment for 90 days on a Ford F-150 or an Escape would look very, very cool on anybody. Check it out. Sanderson Ford, another one of these ones. We assume that Jacob Franklin has multiple cars from Sanderson Ford. This is true.
And then I'd assume they're custom made because of how tall he is.
Yes, exactly. But if they can custom make it, Sanderson Ford would have it. Now, one other thing. You might say, Shady Rays. We're talking about cool stuff. We're talking about Jacob Franklin. We're talking about Erica L. Day. These are people that wear Shady Rays. There is no doubt about it. Now, you might say, Mike Luke, you're not cool at all. Correct. I am not cool. But guess what? If I had some Shady Rays, do you think I could trick some people into thinking I'm cool, Scheer?
I mean, your coolness factor goes from at least 1 to 5.
Yeah. Well, why? Oh, wow. Okay. I think that I would put it at about a 6 with Shady Rays. But here's the deal. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off. Polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Very, very cool. Check it out, Shady Rays. I am going to be on a very cool trip tomorrow. I wish I had Shady Rays because I am going to a ground zero of something that I think that everybody needs to know about at some point. But Shady Rays, check it out. Use code PHNX. All right, let's get back to the running backs here. I love the running backs. I think that I have no doubt. I got one for you, Scheer. I'm going to make a bold claim. There's no drop off in running back production from last year. None. Boom.
No, there won't be. And we like Jonah, we like Wiley, but there won't be a drop off at all.
Yeah, there absolutely will not be a drop off. And I do think though that at some point, Ja'Cory is going to force his way into being the dude that's getting the 15 to 17 to 18 carries.
Yeah. He just looked different, and he looks like your number 1 back. I think Quali is very solid. Might be the best pass catcher of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Speedy, you could find a way. They got Kendrick Scott. Look, Zoe told me yesterday. He goes, I'm biased. I get it. He said we have the best running back room in the Big 12. And he goes, I know there's some other running backs in this conference that are good. I'm talking about the entire room.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Right?
And, it just kind of...
Look, obviously, like Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon's awesome. Backup's pretty good, but Arizona's got 4 backs that they feel they can use.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. Oh, look at Scheer, dude, with the subtle flex. Zoe, my friend Zoe right there. Very, very cool. We like that about you, Jason Scheer. All right, now. Oh, one thing we got to make fun of is Jet Fish for a second.
Oh, God, you're going to get me in trouble.
This putz. So... I love how he puts out there trying to like insinuate, I just wanted my guys to be able to, have their Alamo Bowl rings or whatever. No, Jetfish, you just did that so you could put that out on social media and make people think that you are a really nice, cool guy. There is nothing not disingenuous about Jetfish, Jason Scheer.
There's 2 major issues I have with this. Number 1, no one asked Jetfish about Arizona. The question is, what did you do for Washington and whatever they did last year? And
Right.
he goes, oh, by the way,
Yeah.
number 2, there are 5 players, 5 that
Right.
transferred from Arizona to Washington, and like 23 coaches if you include the 8th strength guy and stuff
Right.
like that, right? Why, if you're going to buy rings for Jonah Coleman and Ephesians Prysock, you're not buying rings. I mean, Noah Fifita got you that job.
Yes. Noah Fifita got you that
Let's be
job. You
very
didn't feel
clear here, right?
Yeah.
Jaden
Yes.
DeLaura almost stopped you from that job. Noah Fifita got you that job. Send him a ring. Also, keep in mind, Jed Fish is probably worth like $10 million.
Yeah, it's okay. You can get a couple $100 rings.
The ring is $220. I know that for a fact.
Yes. Okay, cool, Jed.
You spent $800. Congratulations, man.
You know what Jed Fish strikes me as? Jed Fish is like the who was the Drew Rosenhaus agent that he saves some kid at a drowning pool and then he immediately calls people to tell him what he did. That is Jed Fish. All right.
Somehow Jed Fish made Washington making the playoffs and winning whatever bowl it was about Jed Fish, what he had nothing to do with.
Well, no, because that was the great thing about him at Big Ten Media Day. He kept referring to it as we. He kept saying, we've beat Oregon twice. That's news for Dan Lanning. You weren't on the other side of the line. We beat Texas twice.
You asked Brennan about last season. He's like, I didn't coach that team. That's nothing to do with me.
Yeah, exactly. Because Brent Brennan's a better.
Good.
Yeah. You know, it must be difficult for people like Jed Fish to go through life just to have to how can I manipulate every single situation? How can I make myself look better? Shoo fly, do not bother me. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, yeah, LJ Shed would be the one to push the kid in the pool and then resuscitate him and then take credit for everything. All right, we're happy you are gone. Leave. Okay, now let's get back to it as well. On the, I want to talk a little bit about the linebacking core. Listen, obviously you got Jacob Manu. Tay Brown is was named as the opening day camp starter. What did we see from Tay Brown?
Yeah, he looked the part. I mean, again, no pads. You're not doing crazy stuff. But yeah, I mean, Tay Brown looked the part. They got a little creative at times with one linebacker and
Right.
Manu and all that. Yeah, I mean, I trust Danny Gonzalez. I just do. And they added another guy to the roster, and we're intrigued by him. And it's going to be an interesting battle for that second linebacker.
I had a guy on Twitter who really doesn't like me, and he doesn't like you, but he blocked me, but he hasn't blocked you. And he kept talking about, Danny Gonzalez's career record as a head coach. I do not care what his record as a head coach is.
New Mexico.
Yes. First of all, I do not care. Second of all, he is the linebacker coach. He is not the head coach. I do not care.
If you're around football people, you won't hear one negative thing about Danny Gonzalez. First of all, he's cool. He's the most transparent coach publicly I've ever been around. Seriously.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And he knows his stuff. And they have Tay, they have Kamu. They brought in Jared Small, who I'm very intrigued by.
Well, I want to talk about him in a second.
Yeah,
keep going.
But yeah, I think they're going to be okay. Am I concerned? Yeah, but I think they're going to be okay.
Yes. Now, Joseph says, yes, that would be him. Kilroy, I like you. Do not put yourself in that category. Tony Clifton, the great Tony Clifton, says, our practice is open to the public. They are.
They are, but I don't know. We were told originally they were open to the public, but they haven't advertised it at all. And there was no public people there. So I'll confirm tomorrow. Because they haven't tweeted the schedule. I don't know. But there was no one from the public there today.
And it did say on the email not to tell any. Oh, that would be a bummer if it's not. All right, fair enough. Well, we'll.
I hope it's not open because then you have to subscribe to Wildcat Authority.
Oh, you do. You have to subscribe to Wildcat Authority for it. Oh, Jason Scheer putting himself before the common folk. Would we expect anything less from that?
I represent the common folk.
You do.
You're out here in a cabin in Tahoe among the people.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, no. So I'm going to I will be in Barstow, California tomorrow.
Why'd you tell me too soon when I sent you that McDonald's?
Oh, because I thought it was talking about I thought you were talking about the McDonald's that's been closed for 2 years or whatever. Because I went to a Circle K 2 days ago, and they said that it had been a Circle K in 2 years. So I thought you were saying I was very upset.
Train station McDonald's is the coolest.
Okay, well, no, all right, yes, but no, at Barstow, this is big. This is big. This is the ground zero for Del Taco. This is the first Del Taco. Here's where it gets even better. There's 3 of them, and the owner, the founder, regularly comes into these Del Tacos.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
This
mean,
is true. It's the original. I'm looking this up now. The original Del Taco. Man, if you go and even to their
yeah.
Instagram, they have the original logo.
Right. No, it's a big deal. This is a big deal. This is going to be reality television at its finest. I cannot
Oh,
wait
this
to
is
go.
cool. I'm looking at this. I kind of want one of these T-shirts, Mike.
Do you want me to get you a Del Taco Ground Zero
Dude,
t-shirt?
if they have, they said it's they don't have them anymore. But these original Del Taco shirts that I'm looking at are really cool.
I almost want to bring food back from this original Del Taco.
You should.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. We're actually staying there an extra day. I get back on Saturday, therefore I can really take advantage of this opportunity.
Do your parents get excited about a Del Taco?
They've never had Del Taco.
Oh my gosh! Come on.
No. They've never had Del Taco, so it's going to be big. I'm going to get my mom a double Del bacon cheeseburger. I'm very excited.
I need pictures.
You'll get pictures, and if I don't come back and that people don't know where it is, it's because I died because I did not get life just doesn't get any better at that point.
Because he drove 100 miles and it turns out it's closed. Mike will not come back.
I will not come back. I will just stay up here. All right, now let's get back to a little bit of Arizona football. I do not like getting off topic on this show, as all of you know. Now, all right, let's talk about the backup quarterback situation here. Yeah. I'll put it to you like this. I believe, and I could be totally off here, I don't believe that the backup's going to be Dorman when camp's done. I think it's going to be somebody else.
I'll say this. I thought Dorman had a pretty decent day today. The guy that really kind of impressed me as a backup I thought Adam DeMonte had very mobile, had a really nice throw on the run for a touchdown. He impressed me. He looked good.
Don't you feel too when it comes to DeMonte that he's kind of that guy that let's be honest here, in this day and age you're not going to win anything big with your quarterback goes down unless you're like an Alabama or a Georgia or something like that. But DeMonte strikes me as the one that you can get by for a game or two. Or if Noah turns his ankle, you can put him in for a few series and he's not going to mess things up.
And I think the thing is too, like, he has started games before, and I realized that they were at NAU, but he still started games. Yeah. And so that's important where, if you put Dorman in, and I like, Dorman could be the guy, but the minute you put him in that situation, it is his first real action ever.
Right.
You put DeMonte in, and he's like, okay, I've done this before.
You're like, okay, I've done this before. Now, did you come away with any different thoughts from your first day of practice? You and I both backed the A here, and we picked the Arizona to win the Big 12. Do you come away from this saying, Mike Luke, you made the right decision in having me pick Arizona to win the Big 12?
Yeah, nothing's going to change after one practice. I mean, I didn't really see.
I know.
I have concerns. I think the middle of the defense is a little small, but I think the wide receivers looked better than I thought they would be in terms of like quality depth versus just numbers. Right. I think the defensive secondary, if Marcus Groves Killebrew has a day like today every day, you know what I mean? I saw more good than bad. I'll put it that way.
Oh, Malachi Riley. Let's talk about Malachi Riley for a second. And Montana Lamonius Craig. You've been on record many times saying that you believe Montana Lamonius Craig is essentially Terrell Owens. He's just got to get that chance. What did you see from him? I will say this, our joking aside, when you see out of all the receivers, nobody looks like him.
Yeah, he's a grown-ass man. There's no doubt about it. I don't think – actually, I know this will not be a Jed Fish, Arizona last year situation. We're going to see a lot of rotation. Like Malachi Riley's going to play. Raymella Murphy's going to play. Jeremiah Patterson is very clearly going to play. That one may have surprised me how many looks he got today. But he is – but again, like he's a prototypical slot. Like when you look – and so it's interesting.
Oh, Rick Trimmer, the great Rick Trimmer said Jared Small. We got to talk about Jared Small for a second. First of all, I thought that he had been in college for like 6 years. This is like his 8th year.
This is his 8th year. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'm kind of interested, to be honest with you.
Look, he had 60 tackles last year. He's got to stay healthy, right? I think he's torn his knee twice now.
Yeah.
He didn't really get into things today very much, but he's a veteran, which I think is important. Even if he doesn't play a lot, having that veteran voice in the room. He's played at LSU. There's value there in adding him to the roster.
Do any of these players that weren't on the roster last year but are coming in, do they refer to we when they're talking about last year?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. They, I believe Jared Small broke down the huddle by saying Alamo Bowl champions. We did it.
Yes, so, we did it. Okay, now, all right, now, before we sign off, no better time to become a PHNX diehard. You can become friends with Jacob Franklin, Shane Diefenbach. Shane Diefenbach in Portugal, by the way, right now.
Whoa.
Yeah,
whoa.
Very, very cool. Well, yeah, he's going to go see his mom, Paula, as well. So, also, diehard membership card, free a t-shirt or your choice from the locker, access to all our premium written content, entrance to the Discord lounge, discount on all events, and access to Erica L. Day as well. Okay, now, Jason Scheer, where can they find you doing all of your really, really good work?
WildcatAuthority.com, Wildcat Scoop Podcast with Shelby, and Wildcat Authority, we have a 60% off sale, so jump in it. Get there.
Yes, check it out. No better time to become a no better time for. All right, hey, Jacob, you can take this thing off now. Thanks. But yes, no better get in Wildcat Authority right now. All kinds of good stuff. Did you say you got a deal?
60% off annual sub. Get it done.
Ooh, does it get any better than that? But on that note, all right. Very much appreciate all of you. I am going to be heading back tomorrow. I will be at Ground Zero tomorrow, Del Taco. While some people sweat in the Tucson desert, I will sweat at the Barstow Del Taco. But on that note, for the great Jason Scheer, I am merely Mike Luke, the venerable Jason Franklin. Jacob Franklin, you have been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.